What if every planet in the solar system aligned at once? Would Earth be pulled out of orbit? Would tides rise high enough to flood cities? Could this cosmic lineup unlock an ancient doomsday, or is it just a pretty picture in the sky? Welcome to Ifology. If you're new here, hit like and subscribe. It helps us grow and keeps the mind-bending content coming your way. So what would really happen if Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all lined up perfectly in space? Let's find out. First, let's define what we mean by alignment. In astronomy, planetary alignment doesn't mean all planets form a perfect straight line. That's virtually impossible due to their tilted orbits and different speeds. But sometimes, planets come close to being in the same general region of the sky from Earth's point of view, what scientists call a syzygy. But let's up the stakes. Let's say, just for fun, that every single planet is placed in a perfect, mathematically straight line across one side of the Sun. What kind of cosmic chaos would that unleash? To understand the consequences, we need to look at the forces at play. Gravity is the invisible force that keeps everything in orbit, from satellites to stars. Each planet has its own gravitational pull. But compared to the Sun, they're lightweights. For example, Jupiter is the most massive planet in our solar system, but it's still only about 0.1% the mass of the Sun. Even if you lined up all the planets, from tiny Mercury to gas giant Neptune, their combined gravity wouldn't hold a candle to the Sun's overpowering pull. So would the alignment tug Earth out of its orbit? Not really. In fact, the total gravitational force acting on Earth from the other 7 planets, even during perfect alignment, would be less than 2% of the Moon's pull on Earth. Yes, that's small. The Moon's influence on tides and rotation is far greater than all the planets combined. So the idea that alignment would cause natural disasters, not quite accurate. But that doesn't mean it would be uneventful. Let's address one of the most common questions. Would this lineup cause catastrophic earthquakes, massive tsunamis, or wild weather? Here's the thing. Planetary alignments have happened before, and nothing exploded. In May 2000, several planets aligned fairly closely. The result? Some great photos and 0 disasters. Tides, earthquakes, volcanic activity. All these are influenced primarily by the Moon, and occasionally by the Sun. Jupiter, Saturn, and the others are simply too far away to matter much, gravitationally speaking. But that doesn't mean alignments aren't important, just not in the ways we often assume. One area where alignments could matter is in how they affect the heliosphere, the bubble of charged particles created by the Sun as solar wind. When multiple planets group together on one side of the Sun, it may, in theory, affect the Sun's movement relative to the center of mass in the solar system, or barycenter. The Sun doesn't stay perfectly still. It wobbles slightly as it orbits this barycenter. And while the wobble is tiny, it can subtly influence solar activity. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Some scientists believe there might be long-term links between planetary alignments and solar cycles, especially when Jupiter and Saturn align every approximately 20 years. These patterns might, just might, influence the Sun's magnetic field, which affects solar flares and coronal mass ejections, the stuff that creates space weather. Could a perfect alignment of all 8 planets cause a massive solar event? Not directly, but it might amplify subtle patterns. If that results in increased solar flare activity, we could see disruptions to satellites, power grids, and communication systems here on Earth. So while the alignment wouldn't physically shake our planet, it might stir up invisible trouble from 150 million kilometers away. So how often does this cosmic choreography really happen? True, perfect alignments, where all planets fall on the same straight line, are virtually impossible. But close groupings do occur. In 949 AD, 5 planets aligned closely enough to be visible in a tight cluster. And something similar will happen again in May 2492, a rare 8-planet lineup visible from Earth. But here's the twist. Despite how exciting they sound, planetary alignments don't cause chaos. They're actually predictable, calculated, and surprisingly peaceful. So why do they get such a dramatic reputation? Throughout history, planetary alignments were seen as omens. To the Maya, alignments signified calendar resets or spiritual transitions. To Renaissance astrologers, they warned of plagues or political upheaval. In fact, the Grand Alignment of 1982 sparked panic. Some feared earthquakes or even the end of the world. Nothing happened. Still, humans can't resist a good celestial scare. Even today, conspiracy theories pop up around every major alignment. From doomsday predictions to ideas about activating alien technology hidden beneath the pyramids. But there's zero scientific evidence to support those claims. So what's really at stake when planets line up? Let's dream a little bigger. Imagine standing on Earth during this ultimate alignment. The sky would look surreal. Jupiter glowing like a second moon. Saturn's rings barely visible with the naked eye. Mars burning red near the horizon. Venus blazing brighter than anything else in the sky, except the sun and moon. If the alignment happens at night, the sight would be unforgettable. A visual straight line of worlds arcing across the stars. It wouldn't end life as we know it, but it might just change how we see our place in the universe. Believe it or not, some scientists and engineers have long dreamed of harnessing planetary alignment for space travel. When planets align in certain ways, spacecraft can use a technique called gravitational slingshotting, using a planet's gravity to accelerate and change direction, saving fuel and time. NASA used this during the Voyager missions, which launched during a rare alignment in the late 1970s that allowed both Voyager 1 and 2 to visit Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune in a single trip. So even though planetary alignment won't trigger earthquakes or tidal waves, it could help us explore the universe faster. Okay, let's push the imagination a bit further. Let's say, somehow, all 8 planets aligned in a single perfect line. No offset. Just a razor-straight celestial beam through space. Would anything extraordinary happen? Not physically, but the psychological and cultural impact? Huge. It would be a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Astrologers would go wild. Scientists would scramble to gather data. Philosophers might ponder what it all means. Some people might panic. Others might feel a strange cosmic peace. And maybe, just maybe, it would inspire a new generation of dreamers, explorers, and thinkers. So no, an alignment of planets won't rip Earth apart or pull us into the sun, but it might pull us closer to the stars, to big questions, to the wonder of the universe. Thanks for watching, and if your mind is still spinning like Saturn's rings, smash that like button and subscribe to Ifology. We've got a galaxy full of what-ifs just waiting to be explored. And now we want to hear from you. What would you do if every planet aligned above your head? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and we see you in the next mind-bending video.